like to express my gratitude towards the Central European Academy and also towards the University of Miskolc for providing us this outstanding opportunity to gather today to share the outcomes of our research. I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Silaki to taking the role of my moderator, especially in case of some disturbance. And I would like to thank you to the participants of the panel, for the audience, and also for the direct participants. I would like to open our panel with the presentation on the role of decommissioning in the early nuclear project phases. So mostly design stage and commissioning stage and construction from the international and also from the national legal perspective. And I would like to begin with explaining what exactly decommissioning is, especially for those who are not really interested in nuclear law on the daily basis. So here at the slide you can see the stages of the life cycle of nuclear power plant. First stage is siting, which is connected to the decisions on the location, particular location of the nuclear site. Then we have a design stage, construction and commissioning, operation and maintenance, and decommissioning. So decommissioning is exactly the last stage. And according to the definition that was provided in the 1997 Joint Convention on the Safety of Spent Fuel Management and on the Safety of Radioactive Waste Management, decommissioning means all steps leading to the release of the nuclear facility from the regulatory control. And these steps include the process of decontamination, which is the removal of radioactivity from the structures, and the process of dismantling, which is the deconstruction of the whole facility. And also I would like to add here the last step, which is the removal of the leftovers after the dismantling from the site itself. And now I would like to highlight that I would like to focus on this decommissioning element, but on the early stages, and it's because the Polish situation is as follows, that we are developing only the nuclear project, so we don't have a built nuclear power plant yet. We are at the stage between design and the commissioning, I think. So that's why I decided to focus on these stages, because it will be relevant from the perspective of the ongoing licensing process. And now I would like to explain why is it important to taking into account the commissioning early. And this is the answer to that question is quite simple. It's because of the cost effectiveness and because of the time effectiveness. The research proves that if the commissioning is considered in the early phases, then it will be much easier to decommission in the final stage. So if it's not going to be considered, then it will take much more funds and much more time. And here at the right side of the slide you can see some particular research on that. You've got case studies provided by IAEA. This is the International Atomic Energy Agency, the most important body in case of the atomic regulation internationally. And this publication is actually open access, so you can Google it if you are interested and check what is inside these case studies. The one that interested me the most was the Finland case. It was according to the research reactor, and actually the legal framework for the research reactor and nuclear power plant differ a little bit, but I think that the mechanism is quite much the same. So in this case, due to the absence of decommissioning planning at the early stages, there was an absence of the contracts for the radioactive waste management, and this resulted in the 4 years delay in the decommissioning licensing process. So if it was thought before, then this delay wouldn't be any delay. And this situation resulted in the amendment to the Nuclear Energy Act of Finland. They also provided some guidelines in order to avoid such situations in the future. So since I think that I explained to you the necessity of planning decommissioning early, I would like to focus now on the international legal framework. And I would like to highlight that there is few provisions on decommissioning itself within the international regulatory framework. The most important one is the 1997 Joint Convention, which I referred to at the beginning. And here, according to decommissioning, we have unfortunately only one provision. This is Article 26 that you can see on the slide. And unfortunately, it doesn't mention the decommissioning plans in the early stages. You can see the provision, it is very general. And in the same convention, there are two more provisions, Article 7 and Article 14, which actually at the first glance may constitute that there is a necessity of providing decommissioning plans. This obligation is put on the regulatory body. However, if you read carefully these provisions, it's only according to the decommissioning of a spent fuel management facility and of the radioactive waste management facility. So these provisions doesn't apply to the nuclear power plants, they apply only to the repositories. So this is definitely not integral part of the nuclear power plant. It can be in the territory of another country even. So I think concerning that for such repositories there are provision of that kind, and still the provisions for nuclear power plants are missing. This is huge absence in the international regulatory binding framework, and I think that it should be somehow fixed. However, we can, if we are considering the regulations, especially international regulations, we should also take into account soft law measures. And here, when it comes to soft law measures, we've got much broader scope of the let's say provisions, quasi provisions. And for example, I found the IAEA general safety requirements, particularly Part 6, the commissioning of the facilities. And here we've got two requirements that are important from the perspective of my topic. This is requirement number 5, which says that the regulatory body shall regulate all aspects of decommissioning throughout all stages of the facility's lifetime, for initial planning for decommissioning, during the siting and design of the facility, to the completion of decommissioning actions and determination of authorization for decommissioning, and so on. And another requirement, it applies mostly to the licensee. So the licensee shall prepare a decommissioning plan and shall maintain it throughout the lifetime of the facility in accordance with the requirements of the regulatory body. So we've got here two provisions. One is devoted for the regulatory body, that that it should ensure the provisions on the decommissioning early, and one is devoted to licensee in order to obey the rules provided by the regulatory body. And now the question arises, what actually should be included in the decommissioning plan? And here the answer is not that simple, because there is not even soft law measures, I would say, to provide such a framework. These are mostly the elements distinguished by the other publications by OECD, NEA, Nuclear Energy Agency, and IAEA, but these publications, I wouldn't say that they are soft law measures, because there are not report safeguards or anything like that. They are more like scientific publications. However, I could find some of the elements for the decommissioning plan. You can see them on the slide. The most important ones are the solutions according to the technology of the decommissioning. These are the decommissioning strategy. We've got two main strategies. One is the immediate dismantling, one is the third dismantling. We've got, of course, the requirement of the decommissioning funds, which is probably one of the most important, because we cannot provide decommissioning outside if we don't have sufficient funds. And also some occupational exposure. And considering that we defined what should be in the decommissioning plan according to the international, let's say, guidelines, then we should focus on the Polish legal framework. And in order to check what is our framework, we should refer to the Act of 29th November 2000 Atomic Law, which is the most important act regulating all the activities concerning the nuclear projects. And here we've got Article 38b, and according to Section 1, the head of an organizational unit, so the operator or the constructor of the nuclear power plant, before submitting a request for the license to construct, commission or operate a nuclear facility, prepares a decommissioning program for the nuclear facility and submits it for the approval to the president of the agency. This is the Polish Nuclear Energy Agency, together with the application for the license. And I will not focus on the licensing process, because it's connected to Miki's panel, and we'll have Polish colleagues who will definitely tell you more about that. However, I would like to move directly to the second provision, the second section. And in the second section, there is an obligation on the licensee, actually, to update these program at least every 5 years, which is also which also aligns with the international standards. However, probably you noticed that we've got this basic article on the providing the need of the decommissioning plans, but it was not distinguished what should be included in the plan. And to check what should be included, we need to refer back to the beginning of the Atomic Law Act, to the Article 4, Section 1 first. And this provision says that the conduct of activities involving exposure, including the construction, commissioning, operation, or decommissioning of the nuclear facilities, required a permit, notification, or reporting in the area of nuclear safety and radiological protection. So this is very general article, but we have the supplementary, let's say, one, which says that, which directs us in order to check what documents are required for the licensing process, for the permitting process, to other regulation that is provided by the Council of Ministers. And this regulation is as follows currently. This is the regulation of the Council of Ministers of 30th August 2021. I didn't include the whole name because it's very big. However, you've got here the reference to the number of the act. And in fact, this regulation provides the information what documents should be included with the application for commissioning, licensing, construction, and so on. And in the Annex 2, we've got the requirement of particular plan, the commissioning plan, which includes the particular elements that should be included into the plan. So these elements, you can check them, and mostly they are overlapping with the international standards. We have for example, the strategy of the commissioning. We have the need of funding the commissioning properly. We've got the need of proper technological solutions. So as I said, they overlap. And what is actually interesting, it's not shown here at this slide, but this provision from the regulation refers directly to Article 38b, but Article 38b doesn't really refer to this regulation. So we've got some inconsistency according to our regulations, and it brings me to the main conclusions. That first, of course, there is a huge significance of planning the commissioning early. However, there is a huge fragmentation when it comes to the international law. There is actually absence of the sufficient provisions for the commissioning, and especially for the planning the commissioning early. And the Polish legislation, although is in line with the international standards mostly, it's still very fragmented, and it should be improved in order to navigate more easily throughout the legislation. And that would be the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.